Welcome listeners again to the On the Spectrum podcast. This morning we have with us Richard Kennett, that is the CEO of the Loddon Foundation. Richard, would you like to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yes, I'm Richard Kennett. I've been the Chief Executive at Loddon since March last year. Prior to that, I worked in another charity and I worked in higher education as well. So it's been a real voyage of discovery over the last 12 months or so.
Nice. So you've been with us nearly a year. It's going to be your Loddon birthday in March, is it? So what would you say that are your memorable or have been your memorable moments at the Loddon Foundation?
Okay. Well, I think in terms of, we do quite a number of events. So events that bring everyone together, and the children, the staff, parents and so on, has been really special, kind of seeing those kind of activities. We had the opening of the new houses, which happened in, I think it was October, and we had some guests for that. And that was, although no credit for me for that, this is down to all the work that happened before I started, but it's really nice to see the new accommodation for the children and young people, and to bring people onto this site and actually celebrate with us. So I think celebrating our successes is really, really positive.
That's nice. So after a year, and then how you've seen how we work, what we do, how that shaped your understanding? Because how would you measure what you knew when you came and what you know now?
Well, I didn't know a lot when I came. I think it's fair to say when I joined Loddon, I didn't have a background knowledge of autism in a great deal of depth. It was a big step in the sense that it's a big organisation, it's a complex organisation. There's 180 staff here across all the various aspects of our work. So it was quite a steep learning curve. It still is to some extent. But I've loved it. I mean, it's the best job people say this, but it is genuinely the best job I have ever had. The people that I work with, the staff, the parents, the trustees as well, seeing the impact that they have collectively on our children and young people, the transformative work that goes on here, and to be part of it and to be fortunate enough to be the person leading the organisation is just it's an amazing opportunity. And so I've learned about Practice Skip, I've learned about our curriculum in broad terms. I'll never have the technical knowledge that my colleagues have, but to see that work put into practice and to see hour by hour, day by day, that, when a young person joins us, to see how even in a matter of days or weeks, how their lives are richer and becoming transformed is really powerful.
Yeah, I think once that you've been with us and then you are a Loddon, it comes really natural, is it? Like, I think we don't realise that we are 180 staff working around all together. We work to make sure that things happen and happen in the right way. How we combine all this partnership, and then everybody plays a really important game. And then it happens when you speak to people from outside that you start asking, they're looking at you like, Loddon, it's a school, but it's a residential school, but you don't have classes. And all of these conversations come along, and then it's like, oh, here we are again, I need to explain this. And then they put faces like, oh my God, I'm not really sure about this. But yeah, I think it's really natural for us. It's really ingrained in what we do day in, day out. But yeah, I'm really happy that you are finding your way, and it's nice. So we're talking about the Loddon Foundation, because we normally say the Loddon School, but you represent the Loddon Foundation. What that means, what is that for people that they are not from the Loddon?
Well, the Loddon Foundation is kind of the umbrella under which the school, the care, the training side come under. So for people who are not aware, Loddon Foundation has existed since 1988, I think it is. We were founded by Marion Cornick, and the foundation is the kind of overarching organisation under which we work. We have trustees who provide our governance. We have a great bunch of trustees. They're very active, they're very visible, and I know from the past that sometimes trustees don't have that kind of visibility, and I think that's really, really important in terms of working with the charity leadership team, myself and colleagues, but also just going into the houses, talking to staff, seeing what the young people are doing, asking questions, that kind of professional curiosity that we're always keen to do. So I think the foundation, the transformation from Loddon, from one child to where what we now have now, the development of the estate over decades, the way the organisation has changed to respond to the world that we now are in. It's a very different world to what it was in 1988, obviously, in terms of how we look after and how we care for and how we educate children and young people. So, it has a really important part to play in terms of driving forward both the education, the care and the training side.
But I think it's like, because it happened to me a little bit like Richard, my background is marketing. It's nothing to do with care, with education. And one of the things that I have enjoyed the most about my role is that it's absorbing so much knowledge about all of these different things. And like you say, we work like a machine. We work like it's so many different departments, but we all have to collaborate with each other to have that final result. Yeah. So having training, having education, and having care under one umbrella, but like we kind of feed each other, because we train our staff to care to be better, and education to be better, and staff to provide a better service. But we're also developing each other, and all of that improves the quality of life that we can present to our children.
Yeah, and the beauty of my role is I get to get involved in everything, not in a micro way, hopefully.
So you put your head in everything.
Yeah, I do, and I think that's where I came from. The charity I worked for previously, we had about 30, 35 staff. It was a careers charity. It was an education focus, but a very different kind of audience, I think, to the kind of children and young people we support. So to come here and be able to get involved in maintenance and domestics and finance and HR, and I think everything, as well as the bulk of what we do, which is obviously the care and the education side, to learn about the work of the school, to see the amazing care that goes on. That's been fantastic.
So why would you say that partnership is vital at the Loddon School? Because we are saying that we work all together, it's like we are part of each other, and we depend on each other to make things successful. But why? What is behind that? Why is that important? What would you say from your point of view? Because you see everything from above, isn't it? We are inside, but your view is completely different.
Yeah, well, any organisation, again, going back to my previous roles that I've had, were very much around partnership. And that was one of the reasons that I was really attracted by the opportunity at Loddon, because without all the aspects of support for our children, young people, working in sync, if one bit doesn't work, then things fall down. So that's about, as you say, it's about the care staff and the education staff working closely together. It's about ensuring, the grounds are in a good state, that domestics work, that we employ the best possible staff. So that's about partnership working. It's about setting a clear steer that without working towards one team, and there were people in my role will always say we're one team. Well, doesn't always happen. I know that, and I think there's we can always do better there. But I think we're all there. Our ultimate goal is our children and young people, and I think what I'm tried to do since I've been here, in terms of our vision and our mission and philosophy, and all the other aspects, is to get across to colleagues that we stand and fall together. So we really do have to support each other, and if we do that, and we're clear on what we are here to do and how we're here to how we're here to support the young people and children, the rest. I won't say the rest follows easily, but it's about understanding. That's about communication. It's about transparency. It's about being consistent in terms of how we support each other and support our children. And if you can get those, they're not basics, they're critical aspects of what we do. If you can get that right, then do some amazing work.
Everything follows.
Yeah, hopefully.
That's fine. So one thing that we said when we talk about the Loddon Foundation, I think the Loddon School gets like a really strong picture in the map, because we are like where the children live or where the young people live, but we have the Loddon Training as well, that they are both under the same umbrella. That is the Loddon Foundation. But sometimes it feels that we are a little bit separate because we have even different buildings. They are here, we are in another side. And then we always say, even when people come Ofsted, that we have a really strong training package in school. But Loddon Training works with Loddon Training and Loddon School, so it's like a all-in-one kind of thing. So how would you say that they are collaborating, and why is that important? How Loddon Training feeds what we do at Loddon School?
In terms of what goes on at the school and what goes on at the training, they should be codependent in a sense. So what I want to see us doing is to see those trainers understanding the practical application of practice skip in the school and vice versa, because I think that's where we could probably get things a bit tighter between the training side and the school. The beauty of having a training facility not on site with the school but nearby is that the trainers can take their learning and staff can take their learning into each other, and that then kind of informs our practice. I think we also have a very effective internal training team. So again, something I'm looking at is how we can kind of get things more integrated or around that side of things, because I think it's really important for our profile externally that we have a really good offer that is as impactful and as evidenced as possible. Something, again, that I think we could probably do more on is our own research. Because we have amazing work, as I said, that goes on at the school. We have some fantastic trainers, but I think we can take more of what we learn in terms of how we support those young people, transform their lives, make their lives more fulfilling, and take that out and share that more widely. As I know when I applied for this role, my sense was we've got a great story to tell here, amazing story, but we don't always communicate it as effectively as we could. And we've done some good work in the past. We're doing good work on that now, but we can always do better. And I think that then feeds through to community engagement, potentially revenue generation in terms of we're a charity. We're a not-for-profit charity, so it's important that partners recognise that, and in terms of potential funders also appreciate that, because I've got plans that I would like to do for us to do more on fundraising. So you can take the kind of ethos around training and an external focus, but you can actually make that broader, I think, for Loddon in terms of profile, brand, awareness, this sort of stuff, because I think we're a bit of a hidden gem, I'd say, and I think we could have a bigger profile based on our leadership for Pratt Skip nationally, and who knows, even internationally potentially.
I will agree with that. I think not a lot of people, I think the school is the social proof of the product that we have, that is Proactive Skip and how it works. And I actually always love when I see it in practice, when, for example, we are struggling with a specific situation and we call the trainers and a strategy is put in place, and after, it impacts all the departments. It makes us work together how it should be. The trainers go to the teachers and to the care managers and say, we're going to implement this strategy. And, after we analyze the behaviors on the departments of behavior, and it involves everybody, it involves the ecosystem. And I think there is when you can really see it in application, basically.
Yeah. And I think that you said that word there, it's quite pretty in the way of representing how Loddon works. We are like an ecosystem. Everybody depends on everybody, even when we don't realize. And when the new elements come in, we try to kind of absorb them within that ecosystem. We support them, we help them. And when there is an element that doesn't go because we had issues, or we have parents that find difficult to make that transition, which in fairness, it's not easy to take a decision that you're going to put your child in care. It's kind of let it go. Some parents feel really guilty. There are mixed feelings in there. Sometimes, our training department has come really quickly to say, look, this is what the data says about what we do. This is the statistics, this is the graphs. This is the professionals that are behind your childcare and education. So it's like even they are the voice, or they voice up what we cannot voice. So we say, like, this is what we do, and not always sing as we want or we would like to. And it has been the training department on site who has said, actually, yes, we do. And it's the same people that are selling and telling about Loddon and ProEscape and what we do, how we are. Then, so it's that word. We are quite an ecosystem that works all together, if that makes sense.
Yes, and where there you can see the whole approach. That is our ProEscape is the whole approach. It not only affects the individual, is also for the staff, and is also for the organization. So, like you say, it's a holistic approach that covers every single aspect of it.
So you talk about your projects that we'll talk about in a minute, but we always say that Loddon is unique. What would you say that makes Loddon unique? From your perspective.
Yeah, there is so much. I mean, it's like a little world of its own in some ways. Now that can be good and it can be challenging, I suppose. So I suppose one of my priorities is to open the windows a little bit, let a bit of fresh air in to some extent, because we have a fantastic team of people. We have people who've been in this organisation for 20, 25, 30 years. We have people who've got an immense amount of experience, and they're absolutely 100% committed to children and young people and supporting other colleagues. But that brings with it challenges, I think it's fair to say as well. So we always need to keep an eye on kind of the external world. So something I've been encouraging some colleagues to do is to look at how we benchmark ourselves against other organisations. So we know there are other organisations a bit like us, not too far away, and encouraging colleagues to spend time in other places to learn about practice elsewhere. I know when I left the University of Southampton, I'd been there over 20 years. Inevitably, when someone's been there a long time, you want to look at your practice, and that's what we've started doing at Loddon. But I think in terms of, we do everything in the sense, with the children are here 52 weeks a year. We have staff here 24 hours a day. That brings with it great opportunities for those children and young people, but also challenges in terms of, we know we have challenges around staffing. The social care sector is up against it. Again, that's something that we're, as a charity leadership team, looking to see how we can address that. I want to ensure that our staff feel valued and are appreciated, and that we can, the word gets out there. Loddon is a fantastic place to work, and I think that's out there. We get quite a number of people who join us who are recommendations, if you like. But again, that goes back to the profile piece. It goes back to the awareness piece. About people understanding you can have a great career at a place like Loddon. And I know people have gone from one area to another and moved around. So again, that's something that makes Loddon quite special, I think, because you can make a life, a career with us, and do a variety of roles, and we will support you, and we'll try and nurture you and ensure you can achieve your best in the same way as we do for our children.
Yeah, well, I think probably we are the example of that. So when I arrived to Loddon 9 years ago, I think, something in that line, 9 years ago, I started being a learning and care support assistant. Then I jumped into being a teaching assistant because I am a SEN teacher, so I wanted my career in that way. And I was supported to grow up. Like, I was a teacher, then I became the main house or the Hawthorne Row coordinator. Like, you can see that there is progression. I am a ProEscape instructor, so it's like you can actually grow and build up your career if you want to. So probably I'm the example in life of what you are saying. Let me put it on the table, just invite people to come in.
And I think that's good, because I think, again, when I worked in a small charity, you don't get that opportunity. People to get on, you have to get out. I think at Loddon, you can get on and you can develop some new skills and new opportunities within the organisation, which is great.
So I'm going to be 5 years this month.
Wow, yeah, there you go. So it's like, yeah, I think you don't realize you come one day saying like, let's see what I can find at Loddon, and then when you start talking to people, everybody has the same kind of feeling, like, oh, just let me stand, let me see, and then when they realize down the line, it's like, oh my God, it's been 10 years, it's been 12 years, it's been 20 years. We have quite a few people that they've been with us for quite a long time, like a quite significant amount of years. Yeah. Welcome on board.
Yeah, I've spoken to a number of people who said, I only came for 6 months originally. Yeah. And they've been here for quite a long time. And I think that there is something you can't really quantify and bottle it as such, but there's something really special about Loddon that makes people want to stay, and I think that's really special.
I think it makes you feel like you're doing something good. You know, you're giving something back. I think it's a job that have meaning, basically. I speak for myself. I was one of those persons. I came for 6 months. I started in nights. Yeah, I was a night staff because I was new in the country. I know what kind of jobs you need to do when you are building, you know, for the first time when you arrive to the country. But my profession was marketing, so it wasn't my plan really to stay. I was just lucky enough that, you know, they opened the position in the time that I was there. But I'm neurodivergent myself. So for me, being in that world and learning so much about it have helped me massively and have made me feel connected. And to be fair, I think a very big number of staff have some kind of connection to neurodiversity or autism, or it means something for them to be in this world.
Yeah, beyond the job that they are doing. Yeah, probably I would say that.
Yeah, I mean, my background, previously I'd been a Samaritan and I was a trained counsellor many years ago. So there was that kind of, without sounding like I've got a halo above my head, it was about giving back. And I think that's what my career's been. And I think you can't give back more than at a place like Loddon in terms of the people we support.
So what values would you say that sustain the Loddon Foundation culture?
I think I want people to be mutually supportive of each other. I think that's really important. As I say, you can't have a situation where people just plough their own furrow, that they have to look to, we've touched on kind of interdependency and support for each other. I think that's really important. I think communication is really important, and I know we don't always get it right, and I don't think any organisation does, but I think that's something I'm conscious of, is how we can ensure if people understand each other better and they understand each other's roles better, then there is more mutual respect for what each other does, because everybody, as I say, regardless of what role they do here, has an equally important part to play. I think that's getting that across and people realising that in the day-to-day when they're really under pressure, and I appreciate, jobs are tough, that is really important in terms of communication. I think I'm very keen that we are as transparent as we can be, so people know kind of the direction of travel, they understand why decisions are being made. I think that's a really important part of leadership. I think celebrating as well, I touched on that I think earlier on. I think just recognising people's successes. I think we're very good at, when people have been with us for 5 or 10 or more years, recognising that sort of thing. But I think we can do other things as well alongside that in terms of just the day-to-day side of things. I'm conscious I want to be more visible in the houses and actually get out from behind the desk, and that's always a risk you have in my kind of role, that I spend a lot of time in meetings, but actually going out and talking to colleagues, understanding how things are going. So I think that's around, I suppose another value is about visibility for the charity leadership team, but also for the trustees as well. I think the trustees do what we call walkarounds, as I and other colleagues do. So about talking to colleagues, understanding what they're doing to support the children, understanding what challenges they might be facing. Really important. It's about creating a mutually supportive culture, I think, and we've existed for the best part of 40 years, and we've gone through enormous changes, I think it's fair to say, and we've got potentially more changes coming along. We've got government discussions around SEND provision and so on. So we don't exist in a vacuum, but the nature of our organisation is we're like a little village in a sense. So it's making sure we have those, I kind of call it sort of deep roots and wide branches into the community as well, so that our practice is informed by each other. So we share practice, we share good practice. Again, that's something we can do more on within the organisation, but we also learn from the best of others. But what I want to ensure is people say, Loddon is doing amazing work, and it's a great place to work, and they're transforming the lives of young people. And I think, had a beautiful bit of feedback from a parent recently where she said, I've got my little girl back. And that is what this is about for my colleagues who've contributed to that, and they've contributed in lots of different ways. That's what we're about.
And I think we don't say it loud enough. I think we take it for granted. And I think this is when we were interviewing this mum, one thing that we're saying to staff is like, I think you take for granted your work, your day-to-day. You don't realise the impact that you're having in someone's life, and not only in the child that we have here with us, in all that is around that child, the family, the extended family, the grandparents. Sometimes we don't realise that what we do is not just here. It goes and it spans. It's like a waving effect to others that are around that child's life. But we don't say it enough. We don't show our staff sometimes enough. They don't see. And I remember playing a video when Mum was saying, "You saved my child." I don't have enough words to thank you guys. And I've got people crying like, oh wow, like I realize now that actually what we do, it goes beyond our children and has a huge impact on what, like, because we're taken for granted. It's like, yeah, it's my job. Yeah, it's what we do. Yeah, it's like, yes, it's your job and it's what we do. But have a look, just step back a little bit and have a look what is in front of you, because it's amazing. Yeah, definitely.
I also think you get a little bit caught up in the day-to-day.
Yeah.
We are solving problems and doing things, and you just, you don't see the impact that have in families and things like that. But also was one of the reasons why I created on the Spectrum podcast, because I think this journey can be very lonely for some people and for some families. So maybe listening, there is people that have gone through the same experience, of have the same feelings, like when we have the two parents last year. That was a very emotional, because it was the same. It was the experience that they have, the legal battles that they have to fight. And it maybe another family and parents listen to that podcast and feel some sense of relief. So it's not just me, they feel some companionship, basically.
And we had prospective parents that they said, we listened to the podcast, and that helped us out to know what you're doing, how you work, where's your vision. So it's definitely going through, and then sometimes doesn't come, they don't say, or we don't hear the back as much as we would like to, but I think definitely it's out there. So we're talking about your vision for the future. So which one is your vision for the future? What is the upcoming goals or events that you are excited to share with us?
Okay. So in terms of priorities for the future, I think there's an element around change management, I suppose, in terms of looking at what we do, building on the successes of the organisation and of the staff and the children, and taking that forward. So I've touched on our kind of external focus, our forgive me for brand awareness, I suppose, but people knowing about us in the community, but more widely. I mean, there's also practical aspects that we're grappling with at the moment around working time regulations, which sounds very technical, but we have to ensure that we provide the right work environment for our staff, and that's really, really important. So working through that, and I know that's a challenge for lots of social care and education providers. I think that's just an issue. So working through that. In terms of the staff, what I want to do is I want to do more around how we support them and how we celebrate and how we develop our staff, because I think we have, as we've said earlier, an amazing internal training team who provide some great support. But I think we can always again look at what others are doing around recruitment and retention. So we know we we exist in a tough area in terms of recruitment. You will know, in terms of recruiting teachers, it's tough. It's tough recruiting care staff, for example. So whatever we can do to share the amazing work that goes on, so that people, get more people who are applying for the roles, for example, that's really important. Our estate, in terms of the school site, has developed, compared to even when you joined, massively. And those, long-serving staff who've been here for even longer will know it's completely different to how it used to be. We're looking at a project where we're talking about moving our kind of professional services support staff over into the main house now that that's been largely vacated, and then potentially over time transferring the training provision all up to Wildmoor Lane, because I think that would be really, really positive. And also looking at how the training teams can be more closely aligned, better integrated as well, because I think that's really, really important. We have, excellent work that goes on, but if we can get it more joined up between the two teams, I think that's very positive. So, we had a consultant who came in recently, and I think she said, there's lots of opportunities for change management. You have an amazingly passionate, enthusiastic bunch of people, and people, this is more than just a job. I know that's a terribly trite thing to say, but it absolutely is. I don't mean for me particularly, but more for the staff generally. They're changing lives day in, day out. And I think, as we've said, we don't always take the time or have the opportunity to recognise that. I think if we can do that, then you build morale, you build support, you kind of create that mutually supportive family environment, which is what I'm really keen to do. So almost a year in, there is still plenty to do, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I love it.
So when we're talking about the future, before we go to talk about fundraising and more like even more in the future for the foundation, for those parents that they are listening to us and they're perhaps thinking, oh, maybe Loddon is the place for my child, how can you describe a little bit that journey for the parents, for the prospective parents?
So we've done quite a lot of work on that since I've joined to make things probably a bit more transparent so we can manage expectations, because I think there is a 9-stage approach basically. I'm not going to go through all 9 stages because that would be a good test of whether I can remember all of them. But
they can see it on the website.
Yeah, well, they can see it on the website. It's on the website, and there's a very nice flowchart, and it's very clearly laid out. But I think one of the aspects to that is the work that goes on across the organisation to support transitions. So parents can be absolutely assured that it's not just the care and the education teams who work on this. We have our wellbeing team, we have our behaviour support people, we have the health team. It is a really good example of cross-team working to ensure the smoothest possible transition. Now, people have to meet certain criteria. We are a very, I'd say, as still a relatively lay person on this, a niche organisation in terms of the complexity of support that or support for the complexity of issues that young people and children face when they join us. But we work very closely with local authorities, with parents. We don't generally, if you want to visit, we would say that you need to be in the system in the first place, because we don't have the capacity to whereas when I came in from higher education, we love showing people around. It's not quite that straightforward with us, because we have to manage expectations with parents. So we're supporting children and young people with very complex needs, but at the same time, what we want to be able to do is to provide, as I say, clarity in terms of how that process works. So that's about ensuring that local authorities on board, parents understand the level of support that we can and can't provide.
There is a waiting list. We need to count on the waiting list, can't we? It's not like an immediate process of I want this, I select the school, and here we are, we come in. It's like you might have to wait for a year, 2 years. So it's like we don't understanding that it's not
we don't have any vacancies this year or next year, for
Okay.
example. So, and I think we're looking at 4 vacancies in 2028. But I think it's also worth saying that it's not just transitions in. We also have transitions from from Hawthorne Row, where our younger children are, out to what we call the outreach houses. So again, there's a load of work that goes on to ensure that goes as smoothly as possible. And then there's the piece of work in terms of ensuring that when our young people reach the age of 19, or sometimes older, but normally 19, they're then ready for a transition out into another setting. So again, we want to take the worry out of that for families. We want to ensure that the young people have the best possible opportunities in terms of all of this process. But it's a long process, and it can take months, if not, as you say, years, basically.
And like you say, it's not just about the waiting list. It's about meeting criteria. If we have the suitable space for them, is quite like again, a few stages that you have to go where things can fall through. And I think the special thing about us is, or why we have a waiting list, is because this, like how specialist is our type of care and education that we provide.
I think it's also worth saying, as I failed to mention this, in my time here since I joined here, we've had 2 outstanding visits for both care and education. So again, that's down to the hard work that colleagues put in, and that then, parents are aware of that. They know that their children are going to be well supported and they're going to be able to fulfil their potential because we put in so much effort around those areas, and it's recognised by Ofsted, which is really, really important.
So you talking about fundraising, so back again looking at the future, I heard that you had a really successful fundraising moment with the main event that was quite well welcome in the community. Is there anything in the future that you're projecting in terms of fundraising?
Well, for people who haven't heard about the main events, this was a fundraising campaign for us to purchase a pony cart and some associated equipment. We have a new pony called Chester. And if you said to me a year ago or more I was going to be signing off on purchase of a horse in a job, I'd have been a bit surprised, but that's what I'm doing now. It was fantastic. Chester's a lovely new part of our family. The team had come up with a target figure, and I have to say I thought that was quite ambitious. They smashed the target, and that was thanks to lots of people. For example, one of our children's families who decided to kindly do a skydive in Dubai of all places. He raised lots and lots of money, which we're very, very grateful for. So I think that gave me a sense that as I've said, we have a great story to tell. We do amazing work at Loddon, and there is a demand, a hunger, an appetite for people to contribute to our work. So taking the best of the main event, the learning from that, something that we're looking at doing is getting a new multi-use games area, we call them Mugger, in order to provide a safe, contained outdoor space for the children to enjoy. They can play ball games, they can cycle around, whatever it might be. They can just let off steam in a safe space. That is going to be a bigger stretch, it's fair to say, than the pony cart and associated resources. But from my previous role, my previous charity, we were quite successful at generating revenue. And I think I'm labouring the point, I know here. We have such a good story to tell. So, and we need to tell it, and we need to tell it effectively. And I think for generating fundraising, that will have a really positive impact. So I'm looking forward to working with colleagues on that.
Fine, we'll give you a push as well from here.
I won't be doing a skydive, though.
Nice
I can guarantee you that. Sorry.
Oh, we did that a couple of years ago. Did you miss it?
I know. I'll lead by example, but there are some things where I'm afraid that's a red line.
I'd rather support my.
I'll put my hand in my pocket even, but yeah.
Right. So just to wrap up, to think about the final thoughts. What message would you send to parents, workers, staff, families about the Loddon's mission, how to build brighter futures?
I feel I don't want to overdo it here, because I think I've kind of already touched this a little bit, but the team are amazing. The team do fantastic work. We can always do more to appreciate people and to recognise that and to tell the world about what we do as an organisation. But I go back to that parent who said, she got her little girl back, and the transformative work that goes on. So, I would say to parents, if they meet the criteria and so on and so forth for application, we will provide a really good level of support for your child. We will go above and beyond, my colleagues will go above and beyond to ensure they are able to live fulfilling lives, and that we will transform their opportunities. That's what we aim to do. And sometimes it takes longer than others, it's fair to say, but we have got so many great stories of the power of the work that goes on at Loddon. It's been taking place for almost 40 years, and I'm sure we'll go on to ever greater things in the future.
Perfect. So that's it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Richard. It was wonderful to have you.
Lovely to be here.